Okay, so example 1, we have been asked to solve for m. That means make m the subject from this equation or this formula. But before we start, let's get some stuff straight. If you have 2 divided by 2 is 1. In the same way, if we have m over m, it's also 1. If we have, say, 6 minus 6 is 0. In the same sense, if we have c minus c, it's also 0. This will help us a lot as we are moving forward. So here we want to make m the subject. That means we want to isolate the m to stand by itself. It's being multiplied by a. So we have to get rid of the a. So we have to apply the opposite operation. So we have to divide since they are multiplying. So we divide here by a. And we have to do the same thing here so that we don't change anything. As we have already said, anything divided by itself is 1. So a divided by a will go away. So we have f over a equals to m, which we can write it as m is equals to f over a. We are done. Okay, so if we have example 2, we are solving for m in this density formula. We want to make m the subject. So we need to get rid of the v. V is dividing, so opposite of division is multiplication. So we will multiply here by v. Likewise, multiply here by v. V times d becomes dv. Normally we write the first letter first. And here we are going to get mv all over v by v divided by dv, which give us 1. So they will turn into 1. And then we get dv equals to m, which is m is equals to dv. Okay, example 3. We have been asked to solve for pi in circumference, which is c is equals to 2 pi r. And we will want to make pi the subject of this equation. We want to isolate the pi. Realize that all the numbers here are multiplied by each other, and opposite of multiplication is division. So we are going to divide here by 2r, and we have to repeat the same thing here, 2r. This become 1. This also become 1. So they go away, leaving us with c over 2r equals to pi. Therefore, we can rewrite it as pi is equals to c over 2r. We are done. Right, we have been, example 4, we have been asked to solve for r. We want to isolate the r, or make r the subject in the area of a circle formula, which is a is equals to pi r squared. Pi and r are multiplying, so we need to get rid of the pi. We have to divide. We divide here by pi, and we divide it here by pi. We have to repeat the same thing. Pi divided by pi become 1. So write that. We have been asked to find or solve for r, not r squared. So we need to get rid of the square here. If we take a square root, it will get rid of the square, because the inverse of a square is a square root. take square root here, and we have to repeat the same thing here. Once we do that, the square goes away. Which is therefore r is equals to square root of a over 5. And we are done. Question 5. We have been asked to solve for x. Make x the subject in this equation of a line. Y is equals to mx plus c. We want to isolate this x here. It's being multiplied by m and it's being added by c. So we need to get rid of the c and the m. Let's do the c first. So we subtract here c and we do the same thing here. This turn into 0 from here. So we have y minus c is equals to mx. It's being multiplied, so we divide here by m. We'll do the same thing here. It's turned into 1, goes away. So for x is equals to y minus c, all divided by m. Our next example, we have been asked to solve for h, which is to make h the subject of this equation. Which here we realize that it's being multiplied by pi r squared and 3. So first of all, let's get 3 out of way. And normally when you're solving, kind of you're doing PEMDAS in the backwards way. So let's get this one and then we get the multiplication out of way. So it's dividing, so we will multiply here by 3 and we will do the same thing here. We got 3v, but if I extend this line, this is 3 divided by 3 and that turns into 1. So they turn into 1, they are no more. So we got pi r squared h. Now next is for us to get rid of this. So we will divide here by pi r squared. They are all together, so we get all of them at once. So pi r squared. And we have the same number at the numerator and denominator, so they turn into 1. So that goes away. So we have 3v equals to pi r squared as a height. So when I'm looking for my height, I will multiply 3 by the volume and divide it by the pi and the radius square, and that will give me my height. Look at this last example here. We have been asked to solve for r subscript 2 from this equation or this formula, kind of resistance, electricity resistance formula, something like that. So we're going to solve for the r subscript 2 here. So first of all, this is coming as all together and is being added by 1 over r subscript 1. So we need to get rid of this. It's adding, so we are going to subtract. So we will subtract here by 1 over r1, and we have to do the same thing here. So we will subtract minus 1 over r subscript 1. If we do that, we are going to get 1 over r minus 1 over R1 equals to this, and this will turn into 0 equals to 1 over R2. Bring it over here. Now here is a fraction, so if you remember our crisscross, we will multiply the denominator and then we will crisscross alongside. So here we will multiply the denominator and then we will cross multiply 1 times R1, that gives us R1. We bring the minus and then the R times 1, that gives us R. This is already there, so we just write it as 1 over R2. 1 over R2. Here we have been asked for R2, not 1 over R2. So we can flip this. And once we flip this, we can also flip this one. That's another way. Or you can cross multiply and then divide again. But if we flip, that's going to make it easy for us. So we're going to flip this, which become R2 over 1. And we'll also flip this. So here we got R1 all divided by R1 minus R. But R2 divided by 1 is the same as just R2. And it's equals to this, so we just repeat this one on the right hand side here. I just switch it. And we are done. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't.